Our next honoree was one of the most beloved actors in the history of New York theater, a true creature of the stage with theatricality, wit, and style that was always with her and always memorable. Everyone who worked with or met her has a Marian Seldes story, usually involving a florid remark or a grand theatrical gesture. She was known for her work in every medium and venue, and she was devoted to Off Broadway. She made her debut in 1961 in a Eugene O'Neill double bill of one acts, Different and The Long Voyage Home. And she received an OBA award the next season for The Ginger Man. Later in her career, she gave indelible performances in the works of Kushner, Condolian, Beckett, and McNally, and of course, of Edward Albee. Beginning with Three Tall Women, she was the perfect instrument to illuminate Albee's work and to make it sing. In The Play About the Baby, The Butterfly Collection, and Counting the Ways, an interesting thing happened. She found a theatrical soulmate in her co-star, who is with us this afternoon, Brian Murray, and he's here to accept this award. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brian Murray.
Marian Seldes. Marian Seldes. I'm talking into the right mic, yeah? It was my extraordinary luck at a fairly advanced age to work with this lady, this legend. To me, she was a great friend and a leading lady, and I really have to use both those words very actively. She was leading, and she was, if ever there was one, a lady. She led, though, in a way that I was never taught by her, although sometimes I thought I was the only person in the world who wasn't taught by Marian Seldes, because everyone came and raved and carried on. We'd met each other, we'd curtsied to each other a couple of times. I was directing a play for the acting company, and she was teaching there, and it was the first run through, and I was terrified. It was Tartuffe. And I thought it was dreadful. It was dreadful. It was a dreadful run through. I mean, and I was sort of hanging my head, and she came up to me afterwards and she said, "Darling." She lifted my chin, and she said, "It's got to get better." And whatever way you think about it, that was Marian. It had to get better. It was always. Now, unlike Judith Malina, whom I admired tremendously, there was not an ounce of political thinking in Marian's world. She was all about the theatre. And she was all about loving the theatre. When I say I wasn't taught by her, I actually was. I was taught by her to love my work. Not just to be grateful for it or to be glad I was doing it, to enjoy it. She used to say, "Oh, darling, it's so exciting." I mean, it was one of the joys of my life, unforgettable, to go into the theatre. We were doing this play, we were never off stage. It was difficult, it was Albee. And I would go in and see her, and she'd light up my life, she'd light up my day, like she lit up the audience. I miss her most terribly, because she represented a kind of light and a joy that nobody else has ever been able to give me. This is a great thrill for me to accept in her behalf, and she would be very grateful.
Okay. I want to thank you so much, Brian. You know, we have another dear friend and colleague of Marian Seldes with us tonight, and so I want to ask her to come up and say a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lynn Cohen.
All right. Come on, how tall are these going to be? First of all, does anybody have on the back of their chair a purple jacket? It's mine. You did not wear purple when you were around Marian because that was her color. And it is the color of royalty, and that's what she was. Let me just tell you, when I was a very young woman living in Kansas City, Missouri, which is the heart of the American theater, there was something called Camera 3. Is there anybody old enough to remember Camera 3? Okay. And there was a young woman that they said was going to be the young actress of the American theater. And it was Marian Seldes. And she was everything that I wanted to be in my entire life. I'm talking like I was, you know, she was 20 years older than I was. I think we're probably around the same age, who knows. But she was everything. And then I started working with people from Juilliard, and all they were calling me Bird. Hello, Bird, Bird. Bird, what's Bird? And it turned out that's what Marian called her students and people she loved. She would meet you. She would go down to the ground on her knees and do a simple bow to the ground, which I still could not possibly do even when I was 12. I mean, she just, she did it until the last moment I ever saw her. I had the honor of working with her in Ivanov with Kevin Kline, who was one of her students, directed by Jerry Gutierrez, who was one of her students. And I remember one point in the rehearsal, she had to put out candles with her hands, which was not a problem for her, right? And then Jerry came up on stage and he looked at the back of the furniture. It was covered with candle wax. And he said, Marian, what are you doing? She said, well, I had to do something with my hands after the candle wax. He said, here you are in the who's who of the American theater, destroying furniture on this. She was everything one would aspire to be. She's irreplaceable. Are you listening, Marian? It was an honor to work with. She ate in her dressing room when we did Ivanov, chocolate after chocolate after chocolate. And she was always tall and slim, and I couldn't. I was, you know, eating oranges and things like that. God bless her wherever she is. I know that she's going deeply to the ground, and people are, please God, understand her generosity, her love of the American, of theater. So you'll never see another creature like this. So God bless you, Marian, wherever you are, and I'll take my purple jacket. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. If anyone else is missing an article of clothing, you want to come up and make an announcement, we can do that.